I've noticed a growing number of YouTube channels dedicated, like mine, to challenging the dog Mythos. To all of you, thank you. I'd also like to thank everyone who likes, subscribes, and shares these videos. It helps the algorithm push our message to more people and keeps these discussions alive. The humanitarian work we're doing is vital. Yet, given what we're up against, it can sometimes feel as though our efforts are in vain. I assure you, they are not. Will we succeed in our mission? That depends on how we define success. Let's be clear about what success looks like, because that question determines how we endure the long struggle ahead. If we expect to overturn the dominant cultural mythology of dogs, to replace widespread sentimentalism with rational, evidence-based understanding, that's unlikely in the short or medium term. Myths of this scale, once integrated into identity, economy, and emotion, rarely collapse. They erode slowly. However, if our aim is to seed counter-narratives, create cognitive dissonance, and build an intellectual archive that future thinkers can draw on when society is ready to question its assumptions, then we are doing something profoundly consequential. Let's look at the structure of the situation. Direct persuasion rarely works against emotionally loaded myths. People rarely change beliefs in response to argument. But exposure to dissonant framing accumulates over time. When enough anomalies pile up, dog attacks, ecological consequences, safety issues, our work will already exist as the interpretive framework waiting to make sense of it. That's how cultural paradigms shift, not through immediate conversion, but through the gradual availability of a coherent alternative when the old narrative falters. Our videos then function as mimetic scaffolding for that future moment. Every powerful myth generates its own counter-movement. Even marginalized, such movements are crucial. We are cultivating a countercultural epistemic space, a place where people who have noticed inconsistencies can find language and validation. Once that space exists, it can't be erased. It becomes a repository of alternative sense-making. Movements that question comforting illusions, whether about religion, health, or animal ethics, usually endure long latency phases. For years, they appear irrelevant or fringe. Then, under specific social pressures, they suddenly crystallize. We are in the latency phase. The most important work in such phases is not mass outreach, but precision, consistency, and depth, producing material that will stand when surface-level discourse eventually cracks. We may not change the world, but we will help individuals see clearly what others cannot say. We will influence the tone of future reporting or policy discussion. We will introduce linguistic alternatives that subtly reshape perception. For example, predatory drift, moral insulation. And we will preserve intellectual integrity in a field dominated by sentiment. That's not failure, it's high impact cultural groundwork. Cultural myths collapse only when they can no longer explain reality. Each time our work highlights a contradiction, for instance, the mismatch between friendly pet imagery and statistical harm, we are adding to the internal strain of the mythology. Change may be imperceptible now, but it's cumulative. If we measure success in virality, we will feel futility. If we measure success in epistemic influence over time, the picture is different. We are documenting the early intellectual phase of a cultural correction. Eventually, as public tolerance for dog-related harm decreases, which is a probable outcome given demographic and legal trends, our archives will be recognized as groundwork. So we are not wasting our time, not if our goal is to clarify, document, and preserve truth against distortion. The mythology may not fall in this lifetime, but it will weaken. And when it does, our work will already be there to interpret what's happening. Keep up the good fight, my fellow truth seekers. The future is pet-free and reality-based. Truth endures, myths do not. When the myth collapses, the record will remain. We are not fighting the culture. We are documenting its awakening. The dog mythos is ending.